This is my old CNC. This is my new CNC. It's an Altmill 4x4, and it's awesome.
All right, here we go, setting up the Altmill. I'm not going to cover any details of setting it up because there's plenty of other videos that cover that, and CNC Labs has a lot of great content on their website, so there's really no value I'll be able to add to the assembly piece. Except if you get an Altmill, you got to look inside your X-axis. I felt like such a complete buffoon because the drag chain is stored inside the hollow cavity of that X-axis there. And I felt like such an idiot. I was out in my shed all day putting this thing together, couldn't find it. I was convinced they forgot it. I even sent them an email all pissed off. And then the next morning I'm brushing my teeth and the thought just popped in my head like, dude, it's probably inside there. That makes the most sense. Sure enough, I went down, had to disassemble the whole thing, look inside, and there it is. I installed a dedicated dust collection system just for the Altmill, housing it up top so it's out of the way and I don't need to deal with the motor. And then I'm porting the exhaust directly outside because I didn't want any filter bags taking up room in the shed, and I don't want to deal with the micro dust particles in the air inside the shed. So it all goes outside into this weatherproof box. That bag collects it and serves it as a filter, which is great. I added this plywood bracing to the sides and back and then just ran some angle aluminum scraps that I had laying around across so I can add quick, easy shelf in there and store additional sheet goods. The more weight that's under there, the more stable the table will be. But I can tell you, you really want to brace this thing up. I wish CNC Labs sold diagonal bracing for all four sides. That would greatly improve performance because you can run this machine pretty hard and fast and it shakes a lot. This is the first big 3D carve I did on the machine. You can see a lot of the bit marks. I was still getting it dialed in and just figuring out my settings.
Prototype for my vacuum hold down. About to do it for real on some 3/4 inch HDPE.
I designed these hold downs to be able to slide within the T-track so you can move them wherever you want them. And I made 4 of them. And then I got a bunch of that black hose and I can just quick disconnect or connect them in whatever configuration that I want with those different hose fittings. Here I'm using like a cheap $100 Amazon vacuum pump that comes with a bucket intended to be used for degassing epoxy. But the vacuum hold down works really well with these pucks that I made. Here I'm experimenting with this insulation foam that you get from Lowe's or Home Depot. I'm using a 1/4 inch ball nose bit and I'm running the machine pretty quickly. I just wanted to do a small version of one of these files just to see how the foam would hold up, because my thought process is this foam is like 1.5 inches thick and it's pretty cheap. So if I did a full 4x4 sheet and did a big 3D carving that I knew I was going to paint or do like hardened epoxy or something over it, I just wanted to experiment with it. It worked pretty well, but I haven't done an actual paid order for a customer yet using that foam. So here what I'm doing is I'm building a bigger vacuum hold down system, a whole vacuum hold down table. You can see I have a version of one on my XCarve that works really well. And that one's unique on the XCarve because I'm able to use the hold downs and the vacuum table concurrently. Here I've got 2 PVC lines that are running. They connect underneath the table. I'm cutting the top PVC flush here. These are not glued in place because the friction hold is so tight on them. Then I'm just manually stepping this 1/4 inch bit all around to get it perfectly flush on the top. My vacuum pucks worked really well, but they're not the ideal vacuum hold down system if you're cutting large sheet goods, especially if those sheet goods are thin. So if I had like 1/2 inch PVC sheet and I wanted to do a whole 4x4 piece, those 4 individual pucks would not be ideal because there would be flex in any area where the workpiece is not supported. So you really do need a full vacuum table system for your CNC if you plan on CNCing sheet goods with any degree of accuracy. So here I've got a 3/4 inch sheet of Baltic birch. I'm countersinking and drilling all the way through in certain areas. The way this is intended to work is whenever I need a vacuum system, I'll just take this sheet, I'll be able to throw it down on top of my wasteboard. There's going to be holes that perfectly align with the PVC pipes so the vacuum can pull through those, and then there's going to be a grid system on the top that distributes airflow. And then you can see I've got countersunk 1/4 inch bolts, 9 of them, that evenly bolt down and hold the sheet of plywood to the wasteboards. And I'm doing a surfacing pass here to ensure that it's perfectly parallel. Now, theoretically, I should be able to throw in any flat sheet good and it's going to suction down and hold it, which it does. It works really well. But I did break a bit while doing this, which was depressing.
I did it. I broke my first bit. Down cut, 1/4 inch. I'm running it through Baltic birch. Speed was 390 inches a minute. Depth was 0.2. Did the majority of it, probably 3/4 of the carve. And in the beginning, I was actually running it at 500 inches a minute, and I didn't realize it. I had to slow it down to 390. And about 3/4 of the way through, it just broke. Interesting. I guess you can't run them too hard unless it's like a roughing bit. I was surprised that broke. I want to take a minute to explain how I built this custom vacuum hold down table for my 4x4 Altmill. This vacuum table is made of roughly 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. It sits on top of my normal MDF spoil board with the T-tracks. You can see it underneath here. It's important that I'm able to hold this down securely and parallel. It needs to be perfectly flat. So I have 9 recessed screws that feed down through the vacuum table and are secured from the bottom with threaded inserts. So that pulls this piece of plywood down to the spoil board. The spoil board is surfaced, so I know that's perfectly flat. I then ran a surfacing pass on top of this, so I know everything is flat and parallel. Now I have 2 ports here, which are fed from PVC pipes underneath and hooked up to a normal cheap shop vac, which pulls enough vacuum for most of these jobs. The only consideration is not running it for like 2 hours straight. It might overheat. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But I try to keep it limited to about an hour. This is very necessary when you're doing large, thin sheet goods like this. This is a piece of PVC panel that's 0.35 inches thick. If I was to just clamp this, it wouldn't be perfectly flat. There would be some areas that flex, and I run the risk of having the machine bit hit the clamps. So, especially on detailed V-carve bits, which I'm going to do, this is going to be a sign for the Johnny Slicks folks. I need this to be held down perfect, so I'm going to hit this vacuum. I have that back port shut off, so it's only going to be pulling from the front. And these channels allow the air to flow, and it's going to create a vacuum and pull this down perfectly flat. So we'll see how tight it holds it. There you go. I couldn't move it, so I'm very confident in that. I'm gonna get ready to run this carve for Johnny Slicks.
Before you ask, no, I do not sell the digital file for this vacuum hold down. I explained it in enough detail, you guys should be able to figure it out, but if there's enough interest, I might.
All right, V-bit is done. I now need to come and do a profile cut. I did a 90-degree V-bit, just 0.05 inches deep, to put a slight chamfer on it. Then I'm cutting outside the profile, so I don't want any chip out because this is an upcut bit. This is a brand new bit from ZahyoX. I'm not sure how to say it, but they sent me a couple bits, and so I'm going to be testing these out. We'll see how this 2-flute upcut spiral bit does on PVC.
I had to reach out to them and ask how to say their name, and it's actually ZahyoX. So there you go.
Very happy with this. Broke another bit and ruined another carve. I hate myself and I'm never doing woodworking again.
So that's 2 bits down. Both are my fault. First one, I was running it too hard for the type of bit it was. The second one, I'm pretty sure I didn't have the bit sticking out enough and the collet rubbed on top of the workpiece and released the bit, shot it deeper, and then snapped it off. So both are user error. But that's how you learn. You don't know your limits till you hit them.
All right, I'm doing my first massive 4-foot wide American flag. I've got solid poplar glued up and painted, and I'll be carving through it. It's gonna be a 2-tone flag. First pass is gonna be an internal profile with an 1/8 inch down cut because I don't want the upcut to pull the paint off. So I'm gonna do a 1/8 inch down cut just on the inside of the stripes. Then I'll come in with a 1/4 inch upcut to pocket the rest of the stripes out. Then I'll come in with a 90-degree V-bit to do the stars full depth. I'm coming in with these ZahyoX 1/4 inch upcut.
I've been using those ZahyoX bits for a few months now, and they've been holding up pretty well. No issues. I will tell you, they scream. I typically run the 1/4 inch up and down cuts at 200 inches a minute at 0.25 depth of cut. No issues.
Look at that. Look how clean those stars came out. No tear up. Definitely a good call doing that 1/8 inch down cut first. Look how clean these lines are. Very, very happy. 0 sanding I'm gonna have to do on this. This thing is done.
Here's the final piece for the customer. Very happy with how this turned out. A lot of detail.
Hey guys, real quick, if you're interested in this CNC content, you gotta let me know in the comments. That's gonna let me know to continue to pursue videos around CNC, videos around the Altmill, videos around XCarve Pro, which is what I use to do all the programming now. If you have an XCarve and you're thinking about upgrading, let me know and I can do more specific videos about what that upgrade process looks like on the software side and the capability side. Full disclosure, I want to talk about what my relationship is with CNC Labs and the Altmill. I reached out to them to try to get some type of partnership going because I knew this was the machine I was going to buy based on the research I did. They don't offer anything for free, which I think is great for them. So I purchased this entire machine, everything you see, with my own money. I am one of their official affiliates. So what that means is if you are interested in the Altmill, there's a link that I'm going to provide in the video description. If you're going to buy an Altmill, I ask that you use my link. What that does is it gives me a 10% kickback because I'm driving you to their website and I'm driving you to their products. The more interest I get in this stuff, the more content I can create about it. And it just lets me know what direction to take my YouTube videos. If you're thinking about buying an Altmill, please use my link. It doesn't cost you anything. It just gives me a little kickback and it makes making all this content worth my time. If not, and my audience isn't interested in CNC stuff, probably not going to waste my time doing it and I'll focus elsewhere. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking. If you do use my link and you do purchase any CNC Labs product, you're going to receive a survey at the end. Name drop me, say Kevin from Kind Piece Carpentry sent me here. Their affiliate program could be hit or miss. So if you mention my name and leave a comment, let me know that you used my link and what you purchased and I can follow up with them so I can get that 10% kickback. Greatly appreciated. I did the same thing from Cutting It Close. He's got a lot of great content on the Altmill, which ultimately drove me to purchase the Altmill over other CNCs I was considering. And I did the same thing. I dropped him a comment. I let him know I purchased and he was able to follow up with Altmill. So hopefully he got some kickback from that. That's just how the world works. So that's what I'm asking. If you're interested, let me know in the comments, use my link, and be sure to name drop me if you do make a purchase. Appreciate it.
Now, time to highlight some things that did not go so well. I've been working on this 3D carving of the Battle of Bella Woods scene. was a file that I created based off a famous painting. And I'm just really trying to dial in the machine settings to get it to move as fast as I can so I can have the highest production value as possible and can crank these things out and sell them. But I noticed that these carves were not turning out well, and I couldn't figure out why until I did this one. And you can see, if you look on the left side of the piece of wood, that the frame itself is drifting to the right. The x-axis is drifting to the right. I used ChatGPT, I contacted Altmill, I was going back and forth with their support engineers to figure out what the problem could be. At first they thought it was acceleration. I turned that down, did another carve, same issue happened. So it's not an acceleration issue. What the problem ended up being was, and what they recommended I do that fixed the problem, was I cut the detail in half. So the level of detail and accuracy that the motors are able to achieve, I cut that in half, and it solved the problem. Now you would think, oh, it's going to greatly reduce the capability of the machine and it's going to reduce the level of detail it can achieve. It doesn't. It's still plenty detailed. You're not going to notice a difference. I've done very detailed 3D carves since making the change with a 16th inch ball nose bit at a 5% step over. And believe you me, it is plenty detailed. So if you're experiencing that problem where the x-axis starts to drift on large, fast 3D finishing passes, that's the problem. You got to cut the detail in half. It's not an acceleration problem. I've been cranking out a bunch of these 3D carvings. They've been selling. I've been very happy with this purchase. I'm going to continue making content around the Altmill if that's what the audience is wanting. So please let me know in the comments if this stuff is interesting to you, and I'll keep making it. Please use my affiliate link below in the description if you plan on purchasing any of this stuff. If you want more videos around a direct comparison between the XCarve and the Altmill, I can do that as well. So I've really been pushing the limits with the 3D carving on these things, and I'm getting really good at generating these files and using VCarve Pro. That was the biggest learning curve, was going from easel to VCarve Pro. And there's no way around it, guys. If you make an upgrade like this, it just requires guess and check. You just got to do orders and you got to crank out projects, and that's how you learn. But you can see here some of these things I'm doing on this machine are pretty cool, and it would be impossible to do this type of stuff on the XCarve. It would take 10 hours for something the Altmill could do in 1 hour. Seriously. So here's some examples of stuff I did. All turned out really cool. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'm excited to hear your feedback and any questions you guys have on the Altmill. I'm happy to help as you explore potentially purchasing the CNC machine.